it looks pretty damn good. And if you don't mind me saying, 1 week on the job as executive shareholder, and already big dividends are being paid here in TNA. As you know, we got a big election coming up. It's important everybody get out there and let their voice be heard. Call your friends, tell them to vote, and then, as long as you've got them on the phone, make sure you tell them that TNA is now in high def on Spike every Thursday night. Now, as executive shareholder, I'd like to announce 2 huge main events for Turning Point coming your way November 9th. Our first main event will feature Kevin Nash taking on Samoa Joe.
Boy, there's unsettled business between those two.
And our second huge main event will feature the TNA champion, Sting, going one-on-one for the championship title against the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Big test for Sting. What an opportunity for AJ at Turning Point.
Now, speaking of the TNA champion, I mentioned a little earlier, I'd like to have a word with him, so I'd like to ask very politely if I can have a word with the TNA champion, Sting.
Mick Foley talked about it earlier tonight. He's got something that he wants to get off his chest. He mentioned it to Jeff Jarrett. And now, this is the time for Mick Foley to face the TNA World Heavyweight Champion to speak with the icon Sting.
You wonder what's going through Sting's mind. I mean, it's been no secret the transformation that he's had here in the last few months at TNA. I mean, you really don't know what's going on in Sting's mind anymore. Mick Foley obviously's got something important to say. Here it is.
Stinger, this might seem a little strange, seeing as this is the first time you and I have been face-to-face in about 14 years. And maybe you've heard this through the grapevine, maybe you haven't, but I want to make it public, man-to-man, because I believe that it was you, Sting, who put me on the map way back when in 1991. Let's face it, not a lot of people had heard of Cactus Jack back then until you and I kind of blazed our own unique, hardcore way onto the national scene. And Stinger, sometimes I wonder where my life would have ended up had you not entered into it. So you have my respect both as a wrestler and as a man, which is why it was all the more difficult last week live in Las Vegas when I looked out and I saw you standing among the main event mafia. And I had to wonder, like a lot of people out here did, why Sting, why? And I don't want to lecture, but I just want to say, in my opinion, Stinger, we are all here at TNA on the verge of something very, very big. All the pieces are there. All the pieces are there. We've got guys like AJ and Samoa Joe. Guys in the X Division busting their butts week in and week out to make a difference here in TNA. And the way I see it, Sting, is as champion and a veteran and someone who does, whether he realizes it or not, enjoy the respect of everyone, old and new. I see your job to kind of act as the glue that holds all of those pieces together. But you know what, Stinger? You're not acting like glue. Instead, no, you seem to be a wedge intent on driving all the pieces in TNA apart for good. And I'm wondering what you have to say in your behalf.
What I have to say, Mick, is what I've been saying all along. I wanted to be the glue here, Mick. My intentions, my motives, they're just like yours, I promise you, Mick. But what I had to say was rejected by the Joes, by the AJs. It was just rejected. Mick, you have respect for a Terry Funk, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do.
It is that very exact respect that I'm talking about, the missing ingredient here at TNA. And if you're not careful, Mick, that next generation is going to get all up in your face, and they're going to disrespect you too.
Well, Stinger, I guess you and I are going to have to agree to disagree. And it's clear that you're going to do what you want to do, and you need to understand that I'm going to do what I need to do too.
I understand that very clear, very clear. But Mick, this is not your war. It's mine.